On October 2nd, there's a solar eclipse in Libra, and eclipses are disruptive. Whether you are Libra or not, you could be affected by this eclipse. How might you be affected? That's what we're going to talk about. Hi everyone, I'm Donna Stellhorn, your practical astrologer, and today we are talking about the solar eclipse. It's on October 2nd. It is at 10 degrees of Libra. We're going to do a short overview, and then we're going to go sign by sign. So the sun in the sky that brings us life and warmth and creates food for us, this represents your sense of self, your identity, and all of the kinds of opportunities that could come in. And in a solar eclipse, the moon, which is this little rock out in space that's all pockmarked because it's been hit so many times, represents your vulnerabilities. It represents the things that you need, what you didn't get as a child and what you feel like you're not getting now. And in a solar eclipse, the energy of the moon, which is what you need, becomes so big it blots out the sun. So it closes off something. It causes you to have to let go of something. And then when the sun reemerges, a new opportunity comes. So how can you tell if you're getting hit by this eclipse? Well, this eclipse is at 10 degrees of Libra. I give a 5-degree orb. So that means if you are born between the first day of the month and the 6th day of the month of any month, or the 25th of the month and the 31st of the month, or the last day of the month, depending on the month, you are getting hit by this eclipse. Now, you are also getting hit by this eclipse if you have any planets between 5 degrees and 15 degrees, or if your ascendant is between 5 degrees and 15 degrees. If you would like to know for sure, I can send you a copy of your chart. There's a link in the description, and then just add the word eclipse into your message to me, and then I'll know what you want. Now, the purpose of an eclipse is to have you do a course correction. It is that you are letting go of something old and embracing something new. And even if you don't feel ready for that, sometimes the universe helps that along by ending something in your life, and then it will bring some new opportunities. Now, an eclipse hit to your sun is like a change of your identity. And so your identity is how you describe yourself. And so you might have said in the past, oh, I have trouble learning. And then a shift of identity could be, oh, I'm really good at learning. And that causes you then to do new behaviors and take on new opportunities. Or you might have said, oh, I don't like to exercise, but then you discover you really love tennis. So you become a tennis player. That's your identity. And so then their exercise is built right in. And so the eclipse can disrupt you in the sense of there is a change of identity that takes place, and that's an eclipse hit to your sun. Now, if the eclipse hits your Mercury, you might change how you communicate. If it hits your Venus, you might change what you want. If it hits your Mars, you might change how you do things, and so forth. Now, if you are actively working with your chart and you are spiritually minded, you will probably notice what is about to change in your life around 2 weeks before the eclipse. If the universe is bringing you some sort of change, that change could come in 2 weeks before the eclipse or about a week after the eclipse. Now, the planets are how we do things. They are the actors in the chart. But what the eclipse will change for you is represented by the house it falls in. So if the eclipse falls in your second house, this may be a change of your finances. If it falls in the fourth house, this could be a change of residence. If it falls in the seventh house, this could be a change of relationship, and so forth. And by the way, I should say here that I use Placidus for a natal chart. The chart you're seeing on the screen here is a 0 Aries chart. I do that for general predictions. Now let's talk about the energy of this particular eclipse. And looking at this 0 Aries chart, we see that this solar eclipse makes a square to Mars and an inconjunct to Saturn, and that Mars and Saturn are in a trine. So a trine between Mars and Saturn is kind of like you are an experienced marathon runner and you're running up a big hill. And so you know that you've got lung capacity, you know how to run long distances. It's the hill that is the challenge because you're used to running on something flat. And so there's the challenge, there's the extra exercise, and there's the learning that you're getting. But in general, you know how to do everything. That's the Mars trine Saturn. But from where you're standing on the eclipse point, that with the square to Mars and the inconjunct to Saturn, this little hill that you would be running up looks like Mount Kilimanjaro, like 19,710 feet high, or at least according to Hemingway, that's how high it is. So from that vantage point of the eclipse, the Mars feels like a fight because it's a square. It's some sort of battle that you have to do, maybe to get yourself to do it, or how hard you have to work. And the inconjunct to Saturn says, I don't even know how to accomplish this. And so what's really important is in this process to lean into that trine. And that is to take the action you already know how to do in more difficult circumstances. And remember that eclipses are actually just the decision point. So over the 2 weeks before and 1 week after, you, and in conjunction with the universe, is deciding what is leaving your life and what new opportunities are going to come in. And so this is just the point where you make the decision. The actual doing of this, the running up the hill, all of that takes place over a 6-month period between the eclipses. So this is the time where you're just deciding whether you're going to change your revenue streams or change your residence or change your relationship or wherever that eclipse is falling for you. So to discover really where your life in particular needs to have some sort of change, where a door is going to be closing, ask yourself, well, what is it that you know you should be doing that would change your life, but it feels like it's too hard? Or what are you procrastinating on? And what could you do that could make a real difference, but maybe you lack the courage or the knowledge or something? And so then you're going to find where the universe is probably going to give you a shove forward. And if you want help figuring this out, I do readings. In readings with me, we cover your questions. And so we're going to cover exactly the information that you're looking for. There's a link in the description. I also have a newsletter that I put out every month, and it describes all the important aspects that are going on during the month. That newsletter is free, and there's a link in the description. Okay, let's go sign by sign. Okay, Aries, this solar eclipse falls in your area of relationships. This is also partnerships, collaborations, your friends, and people you don't get along with. And so all the energy here is focused on others. Now, your sign is about learning to take care of yourself and understand who you are and work independently and be a leader. And so this is your challenge right now, is to look at relationships and see if there's some relationship in your life that is ending or that you need to let go of, so that you can then use that energy to then go meet some new people, connect, maybe for a new love relationship, maybe for a partnership, something that's important. But eclipses mean that something's changing, something is probably leaving your life, and so this could be in the area of relationship. I just said this could be in the area of relationships. It is in the area of relationships. It could be a very important, significant relationship, or it may be some casual acquaintance that you have that is taking up your time, or that you are feeling an obligation to when it is just a casual connection. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, of course, the energy is very strong. Not specifically for the day of the eclipse, because that day in itself is usually what we consider a no energy day, because the energy of the sun is blocked. However, the couple of weeks before and the week after are very strong for love relationships for you. The sun's making a square to Mars. Your relationship chart is just lit up. So there are real opportunities here for meeting someone, and probably someone quite different than you've gone out with before, or maybe meeting the person through different circumstances. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, the energy is even better because we have a trine between Venus and Mars. Plus, we have these very strong relationship houses. Now, that said, it is an eclipse, and so that means that the energy with the trine goes easily. So if the relationship is brittle, if the relationship is already falling apart, this will then facilitate that. It will move it towards an ending more easily and more quickly. However, if the relationship has some strength to it, if it has a foundation, then it's easy to build on it during this time. So, and again, with eclipses, you want to be a little cognizant that even if you're not specifically getting hit strongly by this eclipse, your partner might be, and people around you might be, and so they could react, and then that could reverberate into your life. Now, when it comes to your money, you pull money from Venus, which is making a semi-sextile to this eclipse point. And that indicates that there are these little things that you're procrastinating on that actually would add up to a big difference for you and your business and the amount of money that you make. And so this is just a matter of going and doing those little nitpicky things that are in the way. Or it may just be the sense of starting something, like just trying to get started is the thing you're procrastinating on. Maybe the thing you're doing is important and big, but it's just getting going. And so like setting a timer and saying, I'm just going to work on this for 5 minutes versus sitting down and saying, I'm going to do my whole week on this or my whole day on this, just to get it started. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, even though Venus is not making an aspect with Pluto, it's making a lovely trine to Mars. So therefore, this is really good energy over this next 2 weeks for making more money, finding better investments, dealing with people in a positive way. So you have some really good energy to make more money over this next 2 weeks. And then when it comes to money drive from career, the energy is even better. So you have Venus is not making an aspect to Uranus, but it's making a trine to Saturn. And this then completes the grand trine of Venus, Saturn, Mars. And so this is connected to a money house for you. That means that when it comes to getting more money in your job, this is a good time to negotiate for more money for your salary, to negotiate for a better position, to get more perks. So there are some real opportunities here for you. So consider that this is the time, and again, maybe not on the day of the eclipse. Sometimes that can be a day where your boss is having a bad day because their relationship is in trouble or something. So, but 2 weeks before, 1 week after, that is a time to at least make the decision that you are going to go for more money, and then the things that you need to do around that will unfold over the time of the eclipse, which is about 6 months. Okay, Taurus, this solar eclipse falls in your area of work and your relationship with coworkers or employees, and this is also about your health and well-being and your daily habits and routines. So it is possible that this solar eclipse is going to cause some sort of disruption at work. That could mean anything from change of duties to working with new people, losing a key employee, or losing your job and needing to find something else. So remember that eclipses can cause this type of change, but the eclipse does bring a new opportunity, and that would be a new and better job. So this also, though, is about your health and well-being as well as your routines. And so you may find that, some routine that you have is not supporting your health, is actually causing you to be more tired or unhealthy in general. And so this would be the time where you say, that's it, I'm going to make a change. Or your doctor says, it's time for you to make a change. So with eclipses, of course, we can direct the energy, or it can come from some external source. In some cases, that is an authority figure saying you need to do this. In some cases, it's just something we hear and we go, oh, that is a good idea, I think I'll do it. So looking at your routines and letting go of something that you're doing so you can embrace something better, that would be the essence of this eclipse. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, even though Venus is only making a semi-sextile to Mercury, Venus is part of a water grand trine here, and it's in very social houses, and so your opportunities are huge. The semi-sextile to Mercury is either that you're too busy at work to go meet somebody, or you're reticent about going out for some reason, and you need to get over that little bit of a hurdle. It's just that kind of like, I don't want to do it, but if you did, you could get some really good results meeting somebody new for a love relationship. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Venus is not making an aspect with Pluto, but it is making a trine to Mars, and of course that trine to Saturn for the grand water trine. So the energy is probably some of the best you've had in a while. Now we couple that with the eclipse, and that means that whatever direction this relationship is going, it's going to continue in that direction quite quickly. So that means if the relationship has been breaking down, it may fall apart at this point to then clear away so that you can bring in a new and better relationship. If this relationship is on the upswing, you could see things move along very rapidly now, like moving in together or getting engaged, or just at least making the decision of that. And so something that you are choosing is moving this relationship forward as you let go of then being single, or letting go of indecision about it and things like that. So the energy here is extremely positive unless the relationship was already breaking down, and then this energy will facilitate that so that the universe can clear that away out of your life to bring in something new. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from Mercury, which is almost exactly on this eclipse. And so that means that you do have to let go of something. Something that you're doing is the impediment to your money. And it could be something about thinking process and attitudes, but it also is in your house of daily routines. And so maybe it's that you're not working on the business, or the things that you're doing on your business or financially are detrimental to your success. And I always believe that deep down we do know what these things are, and maybe there's something that we don't really want to look at. Maybe it's spending habits, or maybe it's just attitudes from childhood about low self-worth. But this is the time where you can clear that away. You just need to find what it is, identify it, and say, all right, this is not helpful for my future. I'm going to do whatever I can, whatever process is necessary to let this go. Now, of course, the eclipse also says that new opportunities are coming in. So as we let go, we make space for something new. And so once you've made a decision, all right, I'm going to let go of something, even if you don't know how to let go of it at the moment, just the intention of doing it helps and signals the universe that you are ready for something new. Now, when it comes to your money from business or from investments, Mercury is not making an aspect with Jupiter, but Jupiter is still in Gemini, which is ruled by Mercury. So there is a hidden connection. And so that those hidden money connections, those are what's important when you don't have the straight aspect, that you can still find ways to make money. So because it's a hidden money connection, you do need to look a little bit harder at where the profits could be. Maybe in business, you are looking for where you can reach your customers more easily. Or maybe this is about shifting how you're doing your marketing so that your true customers are resonating with your marketing. When looking at your investments, maybe it's that you need to spend more time on it, or to think about a different system for deciding on investments. So there is a connection here. So making more money over this next 2 weeks, it's possible. It's not as strong as it could be. So I'm thinking you're going to make about the same, but you could during this time plant the seeds for making much more. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so that would be like a paycheck, Mercury's not making an aspect with Neptune, and they are not really in any sort of compatible space. And so it's likely if you ask for a raise right now, you're just going to get more work, more responsibilities, and not get the money that you're looking for. So you're probably best to just wait until this energy lines up in the future. Okay, Gemini, this eclipse is falling in your area of creativity, romance, adventure, but also children and risk-taking. And so I know that covers a lot of different things. And so this eclipse could affect one of these areas for you, or several of these different categories. The idea about the creativity might be that you may need to let go of some inhibitions about showing off your work, or some procrastination that you're doing. But it's also possible that you need to let go of a creative project that just doesn't seem to be coming together, to see if you can just work on something else. Maybe that thing in the past will come together again, but if it doesn't, to just say, you know what, here was an idea, it just didn't work, I'm going to let it go. When it comes to romance, you may have to let go of some aspect of romance so that you can move forward and actually have a love relationship. And maybe that is letting go of a romantic fantasy from the past, or letting go of somebody that you were interested in the past that is just not becoming the person that you need them to be. It's also possible that this is just about letting go of the idea of how, like, it's fun to be single, right? Because you get to be in charge of your life, and you have to let go of a lot of aspects of being single to be in a relationship. And so considering that. And when it comes to kids, there may be some issues around what you need to let go of with, what you wanted them to do or be, or maybe the worry that you have for them. So there could be some letting go in that area so that you can have then a better relationship with your kids. And when it comes to risk taking, it may be that, your attitudes about risk might need to be scrutinized. You may have to look at how you define risk. Some people think of risk as, big jumping out of an airplane sort of thing. But in actuality, it may just be going to a restaurant and dining alone. Maybe that's the big risk, and something that you can then conquer. And, I don't know why you would need that, but it could happen. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Venus is making a semi-sextile to Mercury, which is not a very strong aspect, but the eclipse itself is happening in this area for you, so this is extremely strong energy. That semi-sextile means that you probably are not feeling so motivated about going out and meeting new people. Meeting people on an eclipse is really interesting energy, because it can mean that the relationship is a little bit more intense, especially at the start. And meeting somebody on the actual day of the eclipse may not be that great. But 2 weeks before, a week after, you do have some good energy for meeting somebody new for a love relationship. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, the Mercury is not making an aspect with Jupiter, but Jupiter's in Gemini, which is ruled by that Mercury, so you have a hidden aspect. So there is an opportunity to connect. There's probably some sort of issues either you as a couple are dealing with your kids, or you as a couple are dealing with from the romantic side of your relationship. And so you're trying to work things out, and there is some common ground, but it's not so obvious. And as you talk things through, you can improve the relationship. So you're not doing bad energy. In fact, if anything, you're doing a lack of energy to work things out. But there may be some external circumstances that come along that then help you, get to the topic, and then you can access the hidden energy, which is positive, to find a solution. Now, when it comes to your money, you pull money from the moon, which is, of course, part of the eclipse energy, but more importantly is in that area of risk-taking. And so this is, you are challenged now to think of the things that you do consider risky, not the things that maybe society considers as a risk, but that you feel reticent about doing or you're procrastinating on. And this could be out of a sense of not knowing how to do it, or feeling that it has to be perfect, or worried about what other people will say and how they'll react. So looking at the obvious things that you're stopping yourself from doing and saying, all right, I have to figure out a way to do this anyway, even though I don't want to do it or I feel uncomfortable doing it. That's taking the risk. And so that's the energy that you're doing, is as you take those risks, that's where you get the breakthrough. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, the moon is making an inconjunct to Saturn. And an inconjunct energy means doing the stuff that you don't know how to do and don't want to do, and that's the things that bring you money. So again, we have the same sort of energy, kind of like a overemphasis on this, especially in business and in investments, to do the things you've been procrastinating on, figure out the things that you don't know how to do. That's where YouTube can be such a great resource, because they have so many tutorial videos that you can just find out. You can find a 2-minute video on how to do most anything, and then step by step you can conquer this procrastination and help you move forward. So, and the bottom line is an inconjunct hard aspect, yes, but it is an aspect, which means you can make more money over the next 2 weeks if you will do those things that you are procrastinating on. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so like a paycheck, the energy is much stronger. The moon is making a square to Mars, so there is an absolute opportunity here for you to make more money in your job, or to negotiate a higher salary, or to find a different job that makes you more money. So the energy is very strong right now. This energy is going to be for the 2 weeks before and at least a week after, maybe 2 weeks after. So you have a really good, big, long window for talking to your supervisor and getting that conversation started. Okay, Cancer, this solar eclipse falls in your area of home and family, and so it is possible that for some Cancer natives, Cancer rising, that you may be moving, and so that would be, whole change of residence. Someone could be moving into your house, someone could be moving out of your house. It's also possible you're doing some renovation or decluttering. So something about the dwelling needs your attention, and so that's where your attention is. This is also, though, about family, and so there may be some issues around the relationship with family. Maybe a family member is moving out. Maybe you have to distance yourself from a family member, at least for a time, because there's some difficulties. So there may be some letting go. Of course, some of the best letting go for the eclipse would be letting go of family patterns, letting go of negative family beliefs, and so that you can free yourself to do the most positive aspects of your family. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Venus is not making an aspect with Pluto. However, it is making a lovely trine to Mars. There is some very good energy right now for you meeting new people and connecting for a love relationship. Of course, meeting somebody for a love relationship on an eclipse is, it can be very intense. And so you might come together very quickly and have, like a very fiery relationship, but it also can be where you have let go of something that was holding you back in the past, and now suddenly relationship becomes much easier. And so you could meet someone for a love relationship in this time of the eclipse. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, the moon is making an inconjunct with Saturn. So that means that the two of you have an opportunity to work something out, but you are coming from very different perspectives. That means that it's almost impossible to really find the common ground. So somebody has to adjust. And so if that's the case, like normally if we see an opposition, we can find the common ground. But in an inconjunct, there is nothing in common. So therefore, either you capitulate or they say, okay, fine, we'll just do what you want to do. But if you can make that compromise, you can strengthen this relationship. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from the sun right at the base of your chart. And so this is, first of all, letting go of old family patterns that are limiting you about money. This could be financial beliefs or how your parents handled money, or this could be that you are so focused on the legacy you could be getting from family that you are not going out and creating your own money, your own stuff. So letting go of those, even just from a mental standpoint, can be a breakthrough during this time. This also could be about creating a stronger foundation for yourself by letting go of some things that you're doing that are stopping that foundation. So the foundation, of course, would be, emergency fund and savings and a savings habit and, knowing about investing and things like that. So that foundation. So the things that are holding you back might be nervousness about learning about it, not having the mechanism set up so that the money goes into those places automatically. So those sort of things. So this is very much about first seeing what you can let go of to make space for something new. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, the Sun's making a sesquiquadrate to Uranus and an inconjunct to Saturn. So both of those aspects are difficult, but they are aspects. So it is quite possible for you to make more money over this next 2 weeks. However, you have to do the things that are difficult, unpleasant, that feel like they're outside your comfort zone, or bring on more responsibilities. So you have to go do the hard things, and then you make more money. If you just do your regular stuff, you'll make about the same as usual. To be aware that those opportunities are there, but maybe you have to go speak in public, or maybe you have to go do some sales, or you have to dive into the back office of your website and figure out the whole WordPress thingy. So there's, looking at what it is that is holding you back, or what is hard. Maybe that's probably the best way to say it. What looks difficult, go tackle that thing first. That's what's going to bring you more money. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so that's a paycheck, it's a little bit different because the Sun's making a semi-sextile to Venus. So now we have the smallest little bit of irritation. This is the splinter or the little mosquito bite that's kind of itchy, So this is a tiny bit of irritation. And it's so interesting how that also can stop a person, sometimes even more than the feeling of a big block. And so, I do feng shui also. There's some feng shui videos on my channel. And one of the main principles of feng shui is to set your environment up to support your goals. And it's so amazing how just placing something at eye level gets people to use it more versus having to reach for it. That's the semi-sextile. It's like, oh, it's on the bottom shelf or it's on the top shelf, so therefore I'm not going to reach for it. I'll just reach for what's right at eye level. That sort of thing. So that's the kind of thing that we're seeing here, is there's some tiny little thing that just enough to cause you to procrastinate. And if you can stop that, if you can get past that, you could make more money in your job. Okay, Leo, this eclipse for you falls in this area of communication and thinking process. This is also transportation and logistics. It's your neighbors, your siblings. So a lot of different areas that this eclipse could affect. And it's most likely it's going to affect one of these areas, not all of them. But there may be some people out there who are overachievers who are going to do a few more areas. So when it comes to communication, this could be tackling your inbox, getting, paperwork out, getting things shredded or filed or things like that. Maybe there's an application that you've been procrastinating on that needs to be done. With eclipses, it's important to let something go. So it may be that something has to be finished and then you let it go, or that you just have to let go of the project and say, I haven't done it all this time, so I'm just going to let it go so I can let something else in. When it comes to transportation, this could be getting a new car. Maybe some repairs are needed on your vehicle. Vehicles are really interesting as they represent us out in the world. And so getting a new vehicle means that you will get a new path. You will be going a new direction in your life. So and that's not to say those people out there who have held on to their vehicles for a long time, there's other ways to go on to a new path, but one of the easiest ways, you get that new vehicle and now you're doing something new. And then, of course, neighbors and siblings. I should have mentioned also this is about activities. Like if there are activities that you're regularly doing, maybe there's something that you've done for a while, it's just not as fun anymore. And so you want to have the time to go do something else. So you let go of the old activities so you can go do the new thing. There may be some issues around neighbors or siblings that need to be worked out. Maybe some separation is needed, to withdraw a little bit, maybe let a sibling cool off, maybe so you can, not interact with a difficult neighbor as much. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, the sun's not making an aspect with Jupiter. So it's probably not the best time to go out and try to meet someone. Friendships, perhaps, but for if you're actually looking for love, you probably want to do it outside this 2-week period. Let the eclipse come and go and just work on other things, because the energy for a positive connection, it's a little tenuous. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, you have some really interesting energy. The sun is making a sesquiquadrate to Uranus and an inconjunct to Saturn. So that is difficult aspects on both accounts. So if there is something that you have to work out, it may be quite contentious before you get it resolved. And that's due to the fact that if you're doing the sesquiquadrate energy, it means that you could win the argument but end up with a lot more responsibilities. You say, like you're doing the dishes wrong, and then you now are in charge of the dishes. Yikes. So, or you're doing the inconjunct energy, which is you're arguing about dishes and they're arguing about, finances, and they're not connected in the least. And so, for some reason, they're not connected. I mean, there's probably some way to connect dishes and money, but the inconjunct says you're arguing about things that have no common ground. So the issue is that the eclipse brings high emotions, and so the two of you may want to work something out, but the energy, while it's there, is not easy. So you have to take it slow, really listen to what your partner's saying, acknowledge what they're saying so that they will calm down and listen to what you're saying. And so really work on the tactical empathy between the two of you, and that can help you through this. Otherwise, you may just want to say, you know what, we're too emotional right now. Let's wait outside this 2-week period. The energy will line up better. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from Mercury, which is sitting almost exactly on that eclipse. That means that in all of your ideas, and you have many ideas of different things you could do for business or making money, you have to let go of some of these so that you can focus on the one that you want to do and you want to work at. Sometimes when we have a lot of different ideas, we aren't actually working on any of the ideas because we haven't decided which to work on, or when we work on one, we feel we should be working on the other. So this is a time to actually say, you know what, this might be a great business idea, might be $1 billion idea, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to let this go. I'm going to work on something that is, whatever you're choosing is the priority. So this is about decision making for you for this eclipse, and through that decision, you make more money. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, Mercury's not making an aspect with Neptune. So you're making about the same as usual. This energy will line up better in the future, but right now, it's basically says focus on this decision making and, of course, on paperwork, contracts, agreements, those sort of things that this eclipse is talking about. And maybe that's redoing your marketing materials and things like that. So then when this lines up better, then you get the benefits from that. Now, when it comes to money from career, that would be like a paycheck, that Mercury, which is talking a lot to the Venus, which is just a little semi-sextile, says that If you asked now, you probably only get a tiny bit, or even just kind of like a little half promise of more money in the future. So I would wait until this lines up better, which it will. Right now, I think the energy is just too weak for asking. I think that you would have to give them a whole bunch of, your history and all your accomplishments, and then they'd say, yeah, here's a few pennies, and that's just not worth it. Okay, Virgo, you are doing this eclipse in your area of money. This is also about self-worth and stuff, your possessions. So an eclipse does talk about letting go, and so you might be letting go of some stuff. And that would be easy. That might be one way to kind of use up some of this energy. It also can be that you are letting go of limiting beliefs that are stopping your sense of deserving. And that would be excellent. But the bigger issue is when you do an eclipse in your area of money, it can disrupt income. Or it does bring your attention to your money in a sense of what kind of debt do you have? What are the interest rates? What do you owe? When do you owe it? Etc. So the universe is asking you to focus and pay attention to your finances right now. And it doesn't mean that it's automatic that your income is going to be interrupted. It does, though, say, for you to let go of the things that are maybe holding you back in making more money. And that can be spending habits or attitudes or just the way you process your money. Are you keeping the budget, etc. Now, but keep listening, because you have some huge opportunities during this eclipse time that could reverberate out 6 months from now to give you much more money. So this is a time where you want to do the hard stuff of looking at what you need to let go of in attitudes, or even letting go of a revenue source because it's not making you enough money, so you can go and embrace something that is making you more money. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, you have some mixed energy here because Mercury is making an inconjunct to Saturn, but Saturn's in your house of relationships. So there is an opportunity to meet someone for a love relationship, but they are very different than you are. So this is not like anybody you've gone out with before. This is certainly not someone from your past. This is going to be somebody who, your friends would say, really? I'm surprised, and that could be a good surprise or not. But so that's the type of person you might meet, someone very different than yourself. Or you need to do something extremely different than what you're doing to meet someone. So if you meet someone on apps, you have to go meet him in person. Or if you only meet in person, maybe it's time to go try an app. So there is this energy of doing something that's quite different. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Mercury's not making an aspect with Neptune. So this relationship's just going along as it has been. If there is some points of contention that come up in the relationship, it's hard to work it out because there's no aspect between the two of you. That said, it's more likely that the two of you will just go through this 2-week period and the whole eclipse, etc., and not really have any sort of inclination to work out things because you're both very busy and doing your own thing. Now, when it comes to your money, you are pulling money from that Venus, and here's where the good news is. You have a grand trine with Venus, Saturn, and Mars. And Mars is in a money house, and Venus rules a money house. Like, this is such a great opportunity for you. Now, the Venus in Scorpio that you are pulling money from says that right now, perhaps you have an all or nothing attitude about things. Like, if I can't make $1 million, why bother trying? Or, this is only going to work for a little bit, so why bother? Or it didn't work for the first month, so I'm going to give it up. So it may be a time for you to alter that all or nothing thinking, because this grand trine energy, once activated, could bring you some real opportunities. Now, the grand trine is connected to Saturn, That is in your house of connections, relationships, partnerships, collaborations. And then the Mars, which is in the area of community. So that is reaching a bigger audience. So you have all of this connected to meeting more people, talking about what you do, getting more opinions, getting more ideas. So, and letting go of the, if this doesn't work today, then that's it. I'm not going to work on it. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, Venus is making the trine to Mars, and that is part of that grand trine I was just talking about. So this is a very strong indicator that you could make more money over the next 2 weeks, that there are some big opportunities for you in business or in investments, and so you really want to lean in. That's the one thing about a trine. Sometimes it's too easy, and so if you lean in a little bit, you'll get much more. You'll get some if you don't, but much more if you do. And then when it comes to money derived from career, so that would be like a paycheck, you are doing some interesting energy again, because the moon's making a semi-sextile to Venus, which is not the easiest of aspects, but it's not difficult. It's just a little irritating. But Venus, of course, is part of this big grand trine. So this is, if you will just get over the little hump, it's like a little speed bump, like it slows you down, and we never like speed bumps. If you can get past the speed bump, then things are great. So, and that might be setting up the meeting with your boss, or having that initial meeting, or just starting the conversation. But once you get going on it, then you can find very good things happen. Okay, Libra, this is your eclipse, and it's a very interesting situation for you, because this is the last Libra eclipse that is going to happen for about 9 years. So that gives you this kind of a reprieve. However, in 6 months, there's going to be an eclipse in Aries that's just 1 degree different than this eclipse. And so it's almost like you get a second chance because you'll do the opposition. So there is kind of maybe some pressure to get something done, to make a decision, but you are going to have an opportunity to either adjust that decision in 6 months, or you are going to get the opportunity again in 6 months. So if you miss it for some reason, you have another chance. But on the positive side, because this is the last Libra eclipse, then a lot of the pressure, this is the last of it. You're still going to have the pressure now, but at least you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Now, this eclipse, of course, is in your area of confidence and leadership, and how you see yourself and how you present yourself to the world. And so it's necessary now to let go of maybe the things that you've been holding on to, so that you don't have to be the leader, or that you don't have to be confident, like holding on to insecurities or holding on to excuses. So, and you might say, well, I'm not confident in these areas. And then the solution is to go practice and try, because that's what builds the confidence. Confidence doesn't come right out of the womb. Confidence comes from practice. And so that's the energy that you're having here, is that there are going to be leadership opportunities. There are going to be opportunities for you to connect with people who could be friends or relationship potential or partners. And so it's time for you to step up and do that. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Venus is not making an aspect with Uranus, but it's making a trine to Saturn. And it's part of a grand trine. And that means that the energy for you for relationships is exceptionally strong right now. And so meeting somebody on an eclipse can be intense. It can be dramatic, and you come together in some sort of, like movie type of thing, like you drop a book on their head and now you're in love. So there can be a little intense to start out with. But because of the grand trine energy, the relationship could settle down then and become an established love relationship. So if you're out there looking, this is a time to be out there looking, because there are some real opportunities for you. And then for existing love relationships, You are also doing that grand trine because Venus is making a trine to Mars. So you can work out issues, you can have a breakthrough together, you can be more harmonious together, agree on more things. So there is some very good energy for your love relationship. Now, this is still an eclipse. And so with eclipses, what can happen is if the relationship's already damaged, if it's already broken, this will facilitate the end of that relationship because the grand trine just makes energy happen more easily. It doesn't necessarily mean the energy is good. So because the eclipse promotes letting go so something better can be had, it's necessary for you to know that it's important for you to know that if your relationship is already declining, this will speed up the decline to clear it out so that a better relationship will come in. If your relationship is on the upswing, this will facilitate that and bring you more opportunities to be closer together, to strengthen the relationship, and to move on to, a more permanent status. Well, it's already an existing relationship, so you might already be in a permanent status. Now, when it comes to your money, you pull money from Pluto, which is at the base of your chart, but also that Mars, which is part of the grand trine. So that means that if you can get started, then things could happen that are very positive. So, what I say about a grand trine, or actually any trine, is that your friend needs a wedding cake. You call up the bakery. They say you're our 1 millionth customer. The cake is free. We'll deliver for free. And everything just goes off without a hitch. The important part is that you made the call. If you hadn't called the bakery, then you would not have received all of this wonderful stuff. So that's the energy that you're doing with your money, is get started, and then the momentum of the grand trine carries you forward. And so that means, calling the meeting, connecting with the prospect, announcing the business, launching, something like that. And by the way, if you are launching, don't launch on the exact day of the eclipse. That's October 2nd. That's a no energy day because the sun is blocked, right? It's blocked by the moon. So you can do it before, or you can do it after, but don't do it right on the day of the eclipse. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, Venus is not making an aspect with Pluto, but it is making a beautiful trine with Mars. And so it's likely you are going to make more money over this next 2 weeks. That is, again, if you can activate the trine by taking that first step, making the call. And then the trine carries you forward. So it will probably bring you more work as well as more recognition because Saturn's going through your house of work. So, but the work could be the work you wanted to do. So, and then you get paid. Now, when it comes to money from your career, so that would be a paycheck, the sun is the sun's not making an aspect with Pluto. However, it is making a square to Mars. So there is some very strong energy about going out and connecting with your supervisor for a raise. Now, the energy could start off quite contentious because a square does mean that maybe you have two different purposes and you have to work things out. Your boss's purpose is to have you work as much as possible and pay you as little as possible, and you want the opposite. And so you have to work things out. But a square does mean that something can be worked out, and that the energies there means that you could have this conversation versus them just, kicking the can down the road and saying, let's talk in a few months. So there is some energy here. Of course, if you are negotiating for a new job, this is the ideal time with that square to ask for, whatever it is that you want in terms of salary, perks, and benefits, etc. Okay, Scorpio, you are doing this eclipse in your area of spirituality and magic and psychic ability and all those nice things, as well as the shadow self and the unconscious, as well as addictions and escapes. So the energy is a little bit of a mixed bag here, and it can be like embracing spirituality and doing more of a daily spiritual practice and, connecting to the universe and those wonderful things. So, but it also can be recognizing that something that shouldn't has a hold of you, like there's some compulsive behavior or some addiction to a substance. And so, ending that, finding a way to say, that's it, I'm going to stop doing that, letting that go so something better can come into your life. Or seeing that you're just on a road that is not leading you to something that's conscious and mindful, that you're doing too many reactions, too much unconscious behavior, to say, okay, I'm going to be more deliberate in my practice, in my interactions with others. So this eclipse can facilitate all of that. It can cause you to first feel like this thing is overwhelming in your life, and then you let it go. So it may mean that you have some sleepless nights, or that you are stressed about something, and what it's asking you to do is stop and look at it, because then you can let it go. But if you push it aside and say, okay, well, how can I make myself feel better through these, cookies or video games or something like that, then you're not addressing it. And then it just gets louder and louder. So this is the opportunity to let go of something that maybe from your past, maybe that's bothering you in the present, that could free you in the future. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Pluto's making a sextile to Neptune, which I have been telling you for a long time. The interesting difference about this is that eclipse is happening, and it is in this area of unconscious behaviors or things that happened in your past, the hidden things, the dark things, the scary things. So this is the way to get to the love relationship that you want, is to free yourself from these past traumas or pain. And it's important to keep the memory of things, but not the pain of things. And so I often talk about, like, if you're a little kid and you touch the hot stove, you get burned, and you remember your whole life, like, don't touch the hot parts of the stove. But you don't walk around with the blistered fingers for your whole life. That part heals. And so that's the part that this eclipse can help heal, that part, that then you have the memory of being cautious when you're getting into a love relationship, but you don't have the blistered fingers. You don't have the pain of it. And that's the thing that's been holding you back. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Venus as not making an aspect with Pluto, but it's making a trine to Mars. So this is really good energy for a love relationship. You're a little bit hidden, though. So it's kind of that you could miss this opportunity. Remember, with the trine, you have to take some sort of action to get it started. And so if you don't leave the house, well, this is existing love relationship. They're probably in the house with you. But if you don't bring up the topic, then it's likely you're not really going to work anything out. But if you start the conversation, you could work something out. And so that's the opportunity here. But it is one that's going to be subtle. And so you have to initiate, and then something good could happen. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from Jupiter that is sitting in a money house. So this really does say that there are some big opportunities here. And as you are letting go of past things or things that are in the present holding you back, this could open up some new opportunities for you. Now, this particular Jupiter, where it's situated, looks like it's time to think a little bigger. So maybe you've been playing it small in your business. Maybe you're not thinking long-term enough. So this is to get a bigger picture about things. This is also about collecting more information and processing information more quickly so that you can get the information you need for investments or your business. And so finding a way to get rid of some of the digital clutter so that you can focus on what's important for your business. There's so much good information out there on YouTube through podcasts and things like that. But I find that sometimes it's so much information that it's hard to implement the things. If we just go from one podcast to the next, we're getting all these great ideas about how to do things in our business, but we're not taking the time to implement them because it's much easier to just consume the information. So with this Jupiter is it is about collecting the knowledge, but also becoming the teacher. From the Gemini to the Sagittarius, it's taking the information and actually using it. So that's what is going to make you more money, is to take one of the principles that you have collected and really apply that. And that's going to help. And then take the next principle and apply that, and so forth. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, Mercury's not making an aspect with Jupiter, but Jupiter's in Gemini, which is ruled by Mercury. So you have a hidden money connection. And that means that it may be not obvious how you are making more money, but the benefits are coming. So, and they're, like it may be something that you get a payout later, that your stock does go up later, but it's because you bought it at this place and it only is ticking up slightly, but then it bang, like it jumps up. So something like that. This is that there's a hidden connection. If you really want to look for it, you can, but this is enough of a connection that you're probably going to make a little bit more over this next 2 weeks, but more in the future. Now, when it comes to money from career, so that would be like a paycheck, that same aspect applies. But Jupiter is in a money house, but unfortunately, your Mercury, which is the career money, that is in a hidden house. So the issue is that somebody is going to tell you to wait. Like, you'll get more money, but just wait. So you can plant a seed, and planting seeds could be very good with this energy because that seed will grow. So it's just more like you tell the boss, I would like to talk to you at some point about this, or can we talk about this at the end of the year? Or you could just wait until you hear one of my future videos where I say, this is the time, go do it. This is the good energy. And then do it, but you could plant the seed now. Okay, Sagittarius, this solar eclipse is in your area of community, friendships, also technology, and your hopes and wishes for the future. So when it comes to friendships and an eclipse, it can mean that there is someone in your life who's taking up time, taking up your energy, and not really contributing to your life in any way, and it's time to let that friendship go. It is also possible that you will reconnect with someone from your past and something has to be worked out between the two of you. This may be related to community, and so it may be that you are part of an organization and that organization is taking a new direction that you don't agree with, or that it's taking up a lot of your time and that you need to step down from being treasurer to, like board member at large or something like that. This is about technology, and so looking at, how an eclipse could affect technology could be that your job suddenly installs a bunch of new technology and you have this big learning curve. It could be that, you drop your tablet into a pool of water and you say, maybe I don't need the tablet anymore. I was just watching too many movies on it. Maybe I'll just stick to my laptop. Like, there could be something like that. But, you do probably want to protect your electronics because it is an eclipse. So, but this also could be that you say, I'm going to stop being afraid of the new technologies out there. I'm going to take the class or find someone to walk me through these things or do some tutorials on YouTube so that I can get up to speed in whatever slice of technology that you want to do. You don't have to learn all of it. There's just too much of it. But most important, this eclipse is in your area of hopes and wishes for the future. And this is about goal setting. And if you're not a person who sets goals, this is a perfect time to say, why? Why aren't I setting goals? And maybe letting go of that. But it's also about looking at your goals and deciding, like, you might say, this has been on my goal list for, a decade, and I still haven't even started it. It's time to release that and say, it may be interesting to do, but it's just not what I really, truly want to do. Or this is about taking your goal list and saying, I could be doing these things like every month or every day, a little bit, but I'm not. What's holding me back on that? So that's where the breakthrough can happen. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Mars is making a semi-sextile to Jupiter, and it's a minor aspect. Jupiter's in a relationship house, that's nice, and Mars is in the house of intimacy. So what's likely is you could meet someone for a fun frolic, but it may be difficult to turn that into a real relationship. So if you're looking for something that is short and fun and maybe clothing optional, this could be a good time to meet somebody new. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Mercury's not making an aspect with Jupiter. However, Jupiter's in Gemini, which is ruled by that Mercury. So we have a hidden connection. And because of that, there is a way to find the common ground if you want to strengthen this relationship. But for the most part, it means that there's an kind of an underlying harmony that's going on in the relationship, even though you may still feel like, like nothing's really changing. You're kind of just getting along better. But it's beneath the surface. You have to stop and say, oh yeah, like we're not arguing. We're actually sitting down and talking. And so you're just noticing that it's better. Now, when it comes to your money, you pull money from Saturn right at the base of your chart that is in this amazing grand trine right now. And that it's making a trine to Mars, and that's in your area of resources from others. And it's making a trine to Venus in your area of spirituality and the bigger universe and, like help from above. So with a trine, it's very important to take a step towards what it is you want, and then everything else just happens. So this is a time where if you're wanting to do a business to get things started and then resources come in and then luck happens. If you are wanting to get a new job, the same thing is, just things start to come together. So you really want to use this energy. So whatever plans you have, whatever you've been waiting to do, this is the time. Now, that said, starting something exactly on the day of the eclipse is not a good idea. So you can do something 2 weeks before, 2 weeks after, but on the day of the eclipse, there is no energy because the sun is blocked. It's blocked by the moon. So the energy isn't there. So if you were going to start something, I would recommend starting after the eclipse, but you could do before, which would then sandwich it between the lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse. Pretty intense energy, but after is best. You could do it one day after, and just start this process, and then you hit that grand trine, and people come to help you get this thing going. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, the moon is making an inconjunct with Saturn. So that means that if you go do the stuff that you don't know how to do, stuff that makes you feel uncomfortable, the stuff that you just say, I don't want to do this, that's what's going to make you the most money over this next 2 weeks. So think about what you've been procrastinating on. Some of these things might be little, some of them might be big. It could be about connecting with others or launching something, or, but that's the road to making more money. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, and that's a paycheck, it's an entirely different story. Venus is making a trine to Saturn, as well as this entire house is lit up for you. This is one of the best times you have had for making more money in your career. So that means that at least making the decision that you're going to. Eclipses are about decision points, and then the energy kind of unfold over weeks or months after. So because you're doing such strong energy, you just want to plant the seed to say, okay, I'm going to make more money in my job somehow. Maybe that means I need to get a different job, take a different position, sit down with my supervisor and say, what do I need to do to make more money? So you start the process by making the decision, and then by taking a little bit of action, you can get this moving very, very easily where people are coming up to help you do this. Okay, Capricorn, you are doing this solar eclipse at the top of your chart in your area of career, reputation, and social standing. So the obvious things, of course, is there could be changes in your career. Now, the energy of eclipse is about letting go of something so something new can come in. So, and this can be you letting it go, or the universe facilitates that by helping you let go. So yes, this could mean you are going to go through a job change. Generally, an eclipse, if you are the one making the changes, then you make your decision during this point, and then the energy unfolds over 6 months. But it is also possible that the universe steps in and says, we're going to help you speed this up. Now, changes in career can be other things other than a loss of job. It could be a different position, getting a different supervisor, having new duties. So all of those sort of things, the company could be bought, or the company could be downsizing and you stay, but you now have to do work of extra people. So or you have extra work to do from the people who are not there. So this is also about reputation. So you do want to be quite careful during this time about what you're posting and what you're saying out in the world. And maybe letting go of some of the things that you wanted to say, people seem to react on platforms like Twitter so quickly that if they gave themselves a little cooling off period, maybe type it out into something else and then wait to post it, maybe they wouldn't post it. So, and this is about social standing. So social standing would be, married or single, working or not working, that energy of how you are seen in the world. And I said social standing, but it's that, but it's also social status. And so what is your status? So looking at what could change and what you need to let go of, the more you actively do yourself, then the less the universe has to do for you. So, and that's when we have a little bit more control over it. So what can you change about your job? How can you bolster your reputation? Maybe you need to go into your social media platforms and move it from single to taken. So looking at those sort of things to say, I want to increase my reputation, and you decide what you want your reputation to be. Maybe you're the person who gets everything done ahead of schedule, or always is optimistic about how a project could go. Choose how you want your reputation to be and then push towards that. The eclipse can facilitate that. But during this eclipse, it is going to ask you to let go of something too. So find stuff that you can let go of. Go to your supervisor and say, can I get off of this project? I want to go work on bigger and better projects. Or change positions in the sense of, okay, I was doing this, working as part of the team, but I want to take a leadership role. So let me go do that. I know it's more responsibility, but I want to do that. So let go of something so you can grab hold of something else. And I should say here that, and I've talked about this in past videos, that the eclipse can be like a wave, and you can be the person who is afraid of the water and gets just hit by the wave, or you can be the expert surfer. So there is some great energy here for the person who wants to launch their business or launch their career in a new direction. Now, that said, don't launch exactly on the eclipse. That is blocked energy because the sun is literally blocked by the moon. So there's no energy on the day of the eclipse. That's October 2nd. But launching something right after to say, okay, I'm going to go start this business, or posting your resume for a different type of job, that can be something where you are then surfing the wave. And the wave then carries you forward so easily. So that's the good things to do on an eclipse. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Venus is making a trine to Saturn. This is actually part of a grand trine. And so that is extremely lucky energy. It's all in very social areas of the chart. And so it is very, very possible for you to meet someone for a love relationship during this time. Now, that said, eclipse times are quite intense. So this could be a very intense relationship. It could start out in an intense way so that you meet each other in some sort of circumstances where one or both of you are feeling a lot of emotion. So like being trapped in an elevator together or something like that. So something out of a movie. So, but it's also possible that it just comes together and the two of you just really connect. But the energy is so good that if you are looking for love, it is really good to be out there in the world meeting new people now. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, the moon's making an inconjunct with Saturn. So this is energy that the two of you may be working out something together, but you're coming from such different places that you don't really understand each other. So this is like one of you might be talking about accounting and the other person's talking about football. You think you're talking about the same thing, but they are so different that there's nothing in common. And so you can't find a common ground in an inconjunct. You have to compromise. And so this would be, okay, we're not going to do accounting now. We'll do football now, but later let's do accounting, that sort of thing. So it is, and you certainly can't do accounting while playing football. That's a definite no. So it means that one or both of you have to compromise. It's your chart, so you have to do the compromising this time. And then when you do, things get better. So that's good. If you don't work with this energy, there'll be this kind of, well, they don't understand me, they don't get this. And over the 2 weeks, you just let this energy pass. And when this lines up better, then you can work out the issue. So those are your two options. Now, when it comes to your money, you pull money from Uranus, which is in your house of risk-taking, but also that Saturn, which is part of this fantastic grand trine. So this is a time where you want to activate that grand trine, and that you activate a grand trine by taking the first step. So, and I've told this story before, or given this analogy before on my channel, but I'll do it again. And that is, your friend needs a wedding cake, and so you call up the bakery and they say, you're our 1 millionth customer, the cake is free, we'll deliver it for free. It arrives, it's beautiful, everybody's thrilled. That's the trine, and this is a grand trine, so it's even more than that. But what's necessary to recognize is you have to take that first step. You have to make the phone call to the bakery. So when it comes to your money, right now, a first step is needed, or a next step if you're already in process. And so that is, think about what the first step could be, and then take that step, and then wonderful things can happen. Great connections can happen. People can come and say, I'll help you with this, I'll give you resources, etc. But it starts with you taking a step. Now, when it comes to money from your business or from investments, the Sun is making an inconjunct to Saturn and a sesquiquadrate to Uranus. Both are challenging aspects, and it says you can make more money in these areas, but you have to do the hard stuff. And you have a list. You have a list somewhere of all the hard stuff, or in the back of your mind, you're thinking, this is the stuff I'm procrastinating on. That's the stuff. Otherwise, if you don't do those things, you'll make about the same as usual. But if you want to make more money, especially over the long term, it's time to go tackle these things that you think are hard, that you have procrastinated on. These are the things that feel like, they're just not you. Like you say, I'm not a salesperson. Well, but this is your company and your product, and you're the best person to talk about its benefits and the value the customer is going to get. And so that's where you start. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so that's paycheck, you have such a strong career chart. Plus, we have Mars making a trine to Saturn. This is extremely good energy now for asking for a raise, asking for more perks, asking for a better schedule, looking for a new job and negotiating a higher salary in that job, doing a transfer, like anything with your job right now. If you are proactive about it, if you say, like, how can I be more valuable to the company, and focusing that way, you can get more money from your job or more benefits, or you can find something better. And so like if you're in a job right now and there is no way you're going to make more money, you can then go find another job with this energy. And remember, with eclipse energy, you make the decision now, and then over the next weeks and months, you can implement that decision. And so it doesn't have to happen overnight, but you're in really good energy now for making more money in your career. Okay, Aquarius, you are doing this eclipse energy in your area of travel, education, legal matters, and belief systems. And so that's what, well, there could be a change in one of those areas, maybe more, like maybe more than one area. So when it comes to travel, that could be a change of travel plans. If you're traveling at the time of the eclipse, there could be some adventure as you get to your destination, but your luggage goes to Baltimore, or you maybe have a last minute trip to do, or you have a very important experience when you travel. If it's education, this may be you deciding to go back to school and pursue that, maybe deciding to drop out of school, maybe deciding that school is important and I'm really going to focus and do as much as I can to get the good grades and really absorb this knowledge. For legal matters, this eclipses in legal matters don't really mix very well. It can be that you finally do resolve something, but maybe some compromise is happening. It can be that you are suddenly in a legal matter. So you do want to be careful, because getting into a legal matter during eclipse can make that legal matter rather big. So, don't push that. If you do need to sue somebody, make sure that your case is strong, because it can be kind of life-changing, not just for them, but for you as well. So if you have smaller legal things to do, you don't want to do them exactly on the eclipse. Eclipse days are no energy days. The energy is blocked. In the case of a solar eclipse, the sun is blocked by the moon. So, but if you are, you have to go to DMV to get a license, or you're doing your passport or something like that, those sort of things you can do those during the eclipse. They're not so life-changing, but, well, unless you really need that passport and you say, oh, yeah, this is going to change my life because then I get to travel and do things. So that's, yeah. As I talk, I find more and more scenarios. So the bottom line here is this is the sensitive area, and you want to lean into any of these things. If there's a travel thing, a legal thing, an education thing, if there's something in your belief system that has been holding you back, actively work on it. The eclipse is so you actively work on it. That's you grabbing the surfboard and surfing the wave rather than getting hit by the wave. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Mercury's making a sesquiquadrate to Uranus. It's a minor aspect, but it's still an aspect, so there is an opportunity. A sesquiquadrate is interesting because it's like you win something, but there's a downside to it. And so in a love relationship, you meet somebody and they're wonderful, but they live 2 hours away, or you meet somebody and they're wonderful, but you're not quite out of your relationship yet, your old relationship yet. It's something like that. So there is an opportunity here, but there's a downside. And then when it comes to existing love relationships, you are also doing that sesquiquadrate. The sun is making the sesquiquadrate to Uranus. So in an existing love relationship, it's that there are good things happening, but there may be some underlying stuff that you haven't worked out that just nag you a little bit. Like, we haven't decided where we're going to live, or if we're going to move out from the in-laws' place, or if we're going to have more kids. Like, there's something and you're not really ready to talk about it, but if you do start, then you can dig through it with this aspect. But in general, things are pretty smooth, just with that sort of, we're going to need to talk about this at some point. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from Neptune in your house of money. which is backed off of that critical degree, so that can make things a little bit easier. And Jupiter in your house of creativity and risk-taking. And with the eclipse energy doing energy around legal matters and contracts and paperwork and things like that, there's probably some connection to your money there that maybe you have to look at a contract and deal with that. Maybe you are taking a risk and that isn't involving some sort of agreement or legal things that you need to do. So there is some opportunities here for money, but you have to face it head on. When we do eclipses, we have to look at where the universe would like us to change directions, or where in ourselves we're saying we're not satisfied with how things are going. And so this is our opportunity to change directions. And Jupiter is in a mutable sign now. So changing directions, and Neptune is as well, changing directions is something you can do now. So if you'd been heading in a direction to make money and it looks like that's not going to bring it to you, if you can stop that, the universe will bring you a new opportunity. New ideas will come, new customers will come, new opportunities will come. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, Mercury's not making an aspect with Neptune. It's not making an aspect with Jupiter. However, Jupiter is in Gemini, which is ruled by that Mercury. So you have a hidden aspect. But for the most part, you're making about the same as usual. That hidden aspect means that there is something that could come outside the 2-week period that will give you a little extra. But right now, this energy hasn't really lined up and the focus is elsewhere. So it's not necessarily on making the profits, but maybe getting the legal structure in order or getting the education down so you know what you're doing in investments or in your business. So it's not so focused on the profits right now. And so you're making about the same as usual. Now, when it comes to money from career, so that would be a paycheck, Jupiter's making a square to Neptune, and Neptune's in a money house, and of course Jupiter rules a money house. So there are some opportunities here. Now, an eclipse is a pretty intense time. That means that if you start that conversation, you're going to get some intense response, and that could be beneficial. Maybe you get the intense response and you get a little bit of a raise. There is some positive here, but because this aspect is going to continue past this 2-week period and the eclipse energy will settle down, it probably would be best to just wait till outside this 2-week period before you even ask, because why do the intensity when you don't have to? Okay, Pisces, this solar eclipse is in your area of resources from others. This includes credit and debt, investments, and things like that. It also is about power and control, what is in your control, what is out of your control, and those very close connections that you have with somebody, and from an intimate level. And intimate could be physical intimacy, or intimate in the fact that you know how much is in their bank account, and you know their social security number and things like that. That sort of level of intimacy. So, and eclipses bring change. So the change could be, of course, starting with the obvious, would be like a change in your interest rates that suddenly put you in a situation where you have to pay much more attention to the debt, or maybe that you're having to pay the student loan debt again because of all the craziness about that. Or that you've decided that you are going to become debt-free, and so your focus is very much on that. It may be on resources from others. This eclipse energy might affect that, where somebody promised something and now it's not coming through, or that you have been working on it and now it suddenly comes through, and now you have these resources and now you have to allocate them to the right places, and you have to pay attention now because now you have money for your business or your school or something, so that you need to pay attention to that. When it comes to about power and control, the eclipse is very much about letting go. So it is whatever you were trying to control, it may say, yep, you don't have any control over that. And for a lot of us, who want to stay informed in the world, but the world is so big, and now that information is all these different places and things going on at once, we may have to just let go of that and recognize that we don't have control over it, and trying to even stay current on things is out of our control. And so releasing some of that so that then new opportunities can come in. When it comes to intimate relationships, there could be a change in an intimate relationship. If that relationship is broken in some way, this could really cause it to end and be done. If the relationship, though, is strong, this could be something where the two of you come together to work out a shared problem, and therefore you strengthen the relationship. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, the moon's not making an aspect with Neptune, nor is it making an aspect with Jupiter. The one thing that's really interesting, though, I jumped ahead there. So because there's no aspect, it is difficult to meet someone for a love relationship, although your house of intimacy is off the charts. You could meet someone for a one-night stand. But to go further, there is this grand trine that's happening in the chart, and it is touching two relationship houses for you. So there is something that if you will just be out in the world, you could find somebody who really wants to meet you, really wants to connect with you, and meet somebody that way. But you actively pursuing it, you're probably just going to get somebody who is interested in a physical connection rather than a long-term relationship. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Mercury's not making an aspect with Neptune. It is not making an aspect with Jupiter either, but Jupiter's in Gemini, which is ruled by that Mercury, so you have a hidden connection. So mostly with your love relationship, your existing relationship, everything's just going to go along as it has been, with this little underlying feeling that things are going to get better and that there are more connections between the two of you. So there's it's a little bit more relaxed, but in general, it's just going along as usual. Now, when it comes to your money, you pull money from Mars, which is part of that big grand trine. So here's the good news. Grand trine means that there are opportunities from multiple places that could come into your life. That's fantastic. This is a trine with Venus, and Venus is in this area of knowledge and information and belief systems and publicity and opportunities to go speak and have your voice heard. And the Saturn, which is in your own sign of Pisces, which is about taking responsibility and a leadership role and connecting with important people. So you have that grand trine working for you now. And yet with the grand trine, you still have to do something. It's not automatic. It is that it's kind of like if you are driving the car and you start to go downhill, it's easy. You can take your foot off of the gas, but you still have to monitor the brake, because you don't want to go out of control. So you have to do a little bit of something here, but everything else then becomes easier. And since your area of resources from others is lit up, this is opportunities for funding for a business or finding a mentor or getting a really sweet deal with somebody who wants to collaborate with you. There are some great opportunities here. You just have to push in that direction a little bit, and then the momentum takes you. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, you look like you're making more money than usual. That house is lit up. The Mars is making a trine to Venus. This is a time where you want to lean in. You could have a really strong month in your business. You could see some real gains in your investments, or you could find a business opportunity that is just stellar. Maybe do something in your passive income sources. So this is very good energy. And then when it comes to money derived from career, it is the same story. You're there. I forgot how to speak. Mars is making a trine to Saturn. There is a huge opportunity here for you to make more money in your job or get more benefits or have somebody offer you stock options. If you are looking for a new job, you can make more money. Definitely ask for more money. Ask for more than what you think you're going to get, and it may be higher than what you were expecting. So you have extremely good energy. Remember, with the grand trine, you have to take some sort of action to get things going. I mean, Grand Trine is nice anyway, but it means that you gotta push a little bit to really get the benefits. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to know more about what this eclipse has in store for you and what is happening in general with your chart and your future, I do readings. There's a link in the description. Also, check out my newsletter. There is a link for that in the description, and that is, yeah, and then I'll let you check it out. And I'll see you in the next video.